let's talk about the best comeback story this side of the Mississippi. Is that how it works? I don't really know. Either way, we're going over somebody who has come alive this year in the best way possible, and whose recent set of play has made him one of the best contracts in the NHL when it comes to cost per point amongst players who are not on their entry-level deals. We're heading over to Buffalo, New York, where we take a look at the shrapnel, the remnants of one of the bigger trades the NHL had seen in the past few years. We're talking about the Ryan O'Reilly trade all the way back from 2018, which saw the Buffalo Sabres send away this player who had 61 points in 81 games at the time to the St. Louis Blues for a package that wasn't really seen by many people as all too great. Ryan O'Reilly was sent over with his $7.5 million AAV salary in exchange for Patrick Berglund, Vladimir Sobotka, a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and Tage Thompson. Thompson is the topic of today's video, and at the time the trade was made, he was just seen as a prospect, an up-and-comer, somebody that the St. Louis Blues had themselves in their system. He was drafted 26th overall by the Blues in the 2016 NHL Entry Draft, but up to that point was never really able to break in and become as good as Blues fans wanted him to be. This is because in his NCAA years, he was really great. He was a point-per-game player, a big, solid forward. He played some time in the AHL with the Chicago Wolves and the San Antonio Rampage, but he didn't really impress at these levels. He just couldn't really get it together, and as a result, when he was traded over to Buffalo, some people in the St. Louis Blues community saw him more as just an, okay, it'll be great if you pan out and if you actually progress in your development, but so far, with what we have seen with 2 years of pro hockey play in St. Louis and Chicago and San Antonio, that just hadn't been the case so far. And so for St. Louis Blues fans, seeing Ryan O'Reilly come back in, eventually become your captain and help you win a Stanley Cup, this trade was seen as the biggest win of all. Doesn't even matter if Berglund or Sobotka or the first-round pick or Tage Thompson himself become phenomenal, you guys won a Stanley Cup, and that's all that really matters. Meanwhile, Buffalo, they're still down there in the dumps. It's been, 3-4 years, even longer if you want to include the pre-Eichel times that this team has been bad. But now you take a look at where the Sabres are with their point production and how exactly some of these players on the return for Ryan O'Reilly are doing. Patrick Berglund is unfortunately not playing at the NHL level. He's over there in the SHL. You have Vladimir Sobotka, who is over there in the Czech League, so he's not playing in the NHL either. And then you have Tage Thompson. He's 6'7", 218, a right-handed forward who plays all forward positions. He's 24 years old. And ever since getting sent over to Buffalo, there was always a lot more to be desired. The first season he had 12 points in 65 games. Okay, not great, but he was a point per game in the AHL, so there's that. The season after that one, injury slowed him down. He played in the AHL once again and was a point per game over there too. He had one Buffalo Sabre game played, but that was it. Last season, playing for the Buffalo Sabres, he made the team full-time. He had 14 points in 38 games played. Certainly not the caliber of a player that Ryan O'Reilly is in any respect, but he's still there. Quite literally the biggest guy on the team, but not necessarily the biggest in terms of popularity and prominence amongst the team. This season, though, things have completely taken a turn for the better for Tage Thompson and his NHL career. So far, in the 61 games played that Thompson has for the Sabres, he's gone out there with 27 goals, 22 assists for 49 total points, 27 penalty minutes too, so he's not really that much of a get-under-your-skin, agitative type of player. He's more just a regular hockey guy who happens to be 6'7". He's on pace for 63 points in 78 games played this season, 35 goals on pace for, and if you do the math over 82 games, let's do that right here, 49 divvy 61 multiplied out by 82, he is on pace for 66 total points on the season, and 36 goals as well. If you told me last season that Tage Thompson would be leading the Buffalo Sabres in points around this time of the 21-22 season, I would have called you nuts. He's got more points than Skinner, Dahlin, Okposo. He is the #1 point producer on the Buffalo Sabres, and just the way this guy has gone out there and played, It's so wild to me how this guy hadn't had success at the NHL level before. He's just unlocked a new step, a new gear. Every time he takes the puck and he strides down into the offensive zone, there's just so much confidence behind his shot that he's able to just come in, shoot it, and score it. You don't usually see too many NHL players have more goals than assists. Oddly enough, the Sabres have 2 of them in prominent scoring positions. We're talking about Thompson, of course, and Skinner, too. But Tage Thompson has come out of nowhere, and he's been in this position where he's number 1 on the team in points and number 1 on the team in goals for a while now. In fact, go over to Ryan O'Reilly and take a look at what he's done this season. Ryan O'Reilly, Emerald City's own, has 14 goals and 27 assists for 41 total points in 59 games this season. So, yeah, Tage Thompson is legitimately outproducing Ryan O'Reilly. Maybe he'll have to go talk to McManus to try to get things to work out his way a little bit more, but Ryan O'Reilly is 8th overall in St. Louis Blues scoring. This team is so deep that you have Schenn, Perron, Barbashev, Thomas, Buchnevich, Tarasenko, and Jordan Kyrou all on top of the captain over here. Now, that's not necessarily to go out there and say that if you took Ryan O'Reilly and you put him on Buffalo, he would get the same points. If you took Tage Thompson and you put him on St. Louis, they'd get the same points. I'm not going to go out there and say that one is definitively better than the other. It's just a cool observation, I think, that Ryan O'Reilly has fewer points than Tage Thompson does, especially with how Thompson's career has gone so far. I mean, look at Tage Thompson's career highs in previous NHL seasons. He had 3 goals in 41 games in 2017-18, 7 goals in 65 games in 2018-19. He had 0 goals in 2019-20, and 8 goals in 2020-2021. He's now on pace for 36 goals over a full 82-game season, and the Buffalo Sabres are kind of getting better all around him. So this is a huge Wings of Redemption story that I just wanted to go out there and highlight. Now, to be honest, I'll go out there and say it right here. The only reason why I'm even making this video is because I saw it pop up on Reddit. If Tage Thompson has another few years like this one, does that balance out the O'Reilly trade? And that, to me, was a very interesting question. It's why I made this video. You have yourselves the Ryan O'Reilly trade, which we did talk about, which eventually saw Ryan Johnson become the first-round pick that the St. Louis Blues gave over to Buffalo. Ryan Johnson right now is a University of Minnesota Golden Gophers defenseman. He's at half a point a game, and I was always a pretty big fan of what he was doing with the... Who the heck did he play for in the USHL? Was it Sioux Falls? Something like that? And seeing Buffalo take him with their 31st overall pick was a pretty interesting one for sure. If this guy becomes a top 4 defenseman down the line and Tage Thompson goes out there and maybe has a 40-goal season because the hockey gods apparently smiled down on this guy and his family a year ago, I think it would definitely balance out the trade more than the trade has ever been balanced out in the past. Like, that's not to say that the Ryan O'Reilly trade is completely vindicated, because at the end of the day, you still have some other assets that were thrown in there that have amounted to nothing long-term in Buffalo. Sabotka and Berglund are not doing anything. But if you're able to salvage as much as you can, I do think the Buffalo Sabres do have an interesting contention spot when it comes to being able to say that that trade was somewhat beneficial to them sometime in the long term if Thompson and Ryan Johnson both become great. That's not to discredit the St. Louis Blues winning a Stanley Cup, because Ryan O'Reilly is Ryan O'Reilly and he's really good, but it is an interesting conversation point to bring up at the very least. So let me know in the comments all your thoughts about Tage Thompson and the way he has performed this season. I know y'all Buffalo fans love to get involved in these comment sections because we make videos about your team quite frequently on the channel. Most of them have been about Jack Eichel. I'm not going to lie. We have had the few Rasmus Dahlin crisis stories here and there talking about how this guy has, throughout the years, not performed up to expectations. But there are indeed the redemption stories where we go out there and they say, hey, he's doing well now, so there's your update. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section about Tage Thompson and where you see his career going next. Do you see him going up from here? He is 24, so he's not the youngest guy in the world, but he's already scoring at a 35-point pace, or excuse me, a 35-goal pace. Do you think he's got 40 goals in his career one year? Do you think he's got 35 goals in his career this year? He's at 27 right now, and I'm recording this audio on Saturday, March 26, 10:45 p.m. PST, so if Thompson does get a 4 or a 5-goal game against the New York Rangers, which is happening tomorrow for me at 2 p.m., it's already happened by the time this video uploads, then I'll eat my words. But let me know in the comments all your thoughts either way. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.